college admission secrets.
What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here with UC Admission Secrets. Welcome back to the training sessions in our UC Admission Secrets Facebook group. Today is August 8th. We have a very, very special guest I have here today. Usually, you guys get to hear me blabber for like 20, 30 minutes. But this week, I have someone way smarter, way prettier than I am, going to drop a lot of amazing knowledge for you guys. This topic has been highly requested by a bunch of our parents and family members. And if you guys like these type of calls, I'll just make more of them happen for you guys. I've been fortunate to kind of do this process and meet a lot of really amazing people along this journey. And today, you're gonna meet one of my really good friends, and we have a really cool thing to share at the very end. But before we do that, I got a few quick announcements. Announcement number one, our college application intensive. I see a bunch of 12th graders, but I don't remember seeing your name on our list. So our college application, we've been throwing a bunch of events. If you guys look at our Facebook groups, this past weekend, we're in the Bay Area helping our seniors with their common applications. That's right. We don't do just UC apps. We help our students with all their schools. So we help them with their common applications. If their kids are applying to USC, Stanford, all these big private. We had a few kids applying to the Ivies. So we helped them out with their app, crafting their personal statement and their extra supplements. So if you guys want to go ahead and book your child spots only for seniors only, tap the link right here. You'll see what dates are available left. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot of dates left. A lot of you guys have been like, let me wait. And the more you wait, the more dates get full. So this weekend, sold out. So if you guys are interested in joining this weekend, we only have one virtual left. And even that's almost done too. But for the most part, this weekend, we're helping kids with the UC app virtual. That is completely sold out. Next weekend is we have a common app that'll be here in my area in Huntington Beach. I think we're down to our last 1 or 2 spots for that weekend. So that's actually almost sold out. The weekend after that, we're hosting a UC virtual one. That one sold out. Weekend after that, our San Diego one. We have a few spots left there. We have our on the 16th, 17th, right? It's a special one. You guys requested it. And then so we had a few people sign up. We didn't hit the 10 that we needed, but I have faith that 6 more of you guys will go ahead and book it so we can at least break even on the cost of the rental. We are hosting one more in-person Bay Area UC application workshop in the city of San Jose. Go ahead and use that link to book it. We have one more virtual for Common App and one more UC in-person Huntington Beach. After that, we're getting virtual sold out. After that, we're done for the year. We're not going to add, people keep asking, are you going to add more dates? No. After this time, we're only going to focus on our current coaching students and make sure they succeed. This is our way of helping as many students as we can. But we have so many students so many slots to work with. Now, so one, go ahead and book your common application intensive. Number 2, if you are not a senior yet and you want to get our team to help you guys out with your application, we can go ahead and book a quick time of chat. Book a quick chat, see if we can help you or not. Again, cool thing about our program, we offer lifetime pricing. Meaning if you join me as a senior, you pay the same amount as if you were a freshman. So all the years pay the exact same amount. So it doesn't hurt to start early, because the early you start, the better we put you on the route to success. That's the big thing there. Financial aid. This is specific for senior families. You have, I think, a month left before we close the doors down for this program, right? A lot of families tell us, hey, we can't afford it. We make too much. So Coach David, he's our head financial coach. He says, if you make under $1 million, he can help you get free money. Parents who make $1 million, we probably can't help you. But if you make under $1 million a year, we can probably help you with free money. Go ahead and book a free quick consult with Coach David right here. He can help you, let you know what your options are. He's been able to help families get at least $20,000 per family. So definitely chat with him. Anyone taking any AP math classes this year, go ahead and text me math. We can go ahead. We had a few more families sign up for our math tutoring program already. So if you're interested in that, boom, prices are insane, right? $150 a month. Here's the link to the notes right now. Our math program's amazing, right? It's $150 a month, unlimited sessions. Insane. This is like one of those crazy founder offers. So definitely check it out there. Last thing, if you guys want a copy of our UC application workbook, or you guys want our majors doc or UC app doc or common app doc, again, go ahead and type those keywords. I think our team has been getting to everyone. By the way, if you haven't received it yet, text us again. Last week, I think we launched it last week. We had 1,000 texts. We looked at the number, it was 1,000 unread texts. It was insane. Again, it probably got lost somewhere. So go ahead. If you didn't receive it, text us so our team can get to you. So this is your notes for today. With that being said, it's my absolute pleasure to bring on our guest here today. He's a really good friend. So you guys know me. I'm the guy our team helps families get from high school into their top colleges. My really good friend, Dr. Mohamed, he helps students get into med school. So that's like a perfect like next steps for our families. Without that, I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll take it from there.
Hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Tony. My name is Dr. Mohamed Hamouda. I'll just give a quick kind of overview. So I was born in South Florida. I'm the eldest of four. I would say, like, if I had to break down my kind of teen high school years, the main two aspects was family, academics, and soccer. My family, mom, dad, they're very, very big on academics, very big on like making sure that I am doing my absolute best and optimizing my potential. So that was amazing, right? So I knew I always had support. And the other thing was soccer. And one thing that my soccer coach, I remember him telling me, he was from Jamaica. His name is Coach Brady. And he used to always say, hey guys, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude. And that really stuck with me because I got kind of very similar messaging from my family. It's all about your attitude. How are you approaching things? How are you approaching high school? So with that attitude, you can kind of imagine the kind of drive I had in high school in order to excel. I ended up doing research in high school. Right, I ended up going to like programs in UF and FSU to do summer programs, went into the lab research. You know, my cousin who was ahead of me in already in undergrad and on the pre-med track was advising me the whole time, right? Take these classes, you know, do these activities. You got to do these things. And this is the timeline in order to do things. So I would say I had a lot of support during high school. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have done it. And I ended up graduating valedictorian. And then I went off and to Johns Hopkins University where, you know, thank God, thank my parents, I got a full ride scholarship there. And I even got a grant, like a $15,000 grant to do research. And man, Hopkins was amazing. I plugged into a community there. We were all supportive of each other. But long story short, I approached college in a way where I was like, man, this is like, what do I want to do in life? And I've always wanted to do medicine. But how do I approach this with the kind of the best strategy, something that's true to myself, right? Right. I don't want to just be, you know, going with the flow. I want to really find myself and find out like, what is it that I want in life? And how can I learn as much as I can and gain all the skills I can so that way I can be in the best position for medical school, just like my parents and my cousin did for me in high school. So then I ended up graduating from Hopkins. I ended up actually getting like an internal grant from Hopkins to go to Jordan for a year to fully funded, where I implemented a peer-led soccer coaching program. That was amazing. I spent a year there, improved my Arabic, you know, really like learned about the culture over there, learned how to even do this program. How old am I, right? I'm in my early 20s trying to put together this whole program in an international location. So you can just imagine the experience I had and the tremendous growth I had. And then long story short, I came back home, applied to medical school, ended up going to Northwestern Medical School. And guess what? Thank God once again, and thank my parents and everyone who supported me, full ride scholarship. So I went through medical school, did 4 years there, had other amazing experiences, and then went to the University of Chicago, which is just south of Northwestern, for emergency medicine residency. I graduated last summer, and now I've been practicing as an ER physician for the past year.
Fantastic. No, you definitely gave me a lot to work with right there. So I am a little selfish. I do have a few questions that I want to learn. For me, I do have a few questions for you based on kind of your little story that you shared. You mentioned you were valedictorian, clearly very, very smart. In terms of study strategies, a lot of our students, they just want to like do better in school, right? So I'm sure you have kind of figured a few things out going through high school, college, and medical school. In terms of study strategies in general for students, let's say they're struggling in school, what are some like tips that you recommend or things that you've seen worked for you or your peers?
First thing first, just like looking retrospectively, is ask for help immediately. Try to figure out like kind of really what is the best strategy here moving forward, right? So first step I would say is be proactive. I tell a lot of my students, don't be reactive. You know, don't wait till something bad happens for you to start taking action. Why? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? You get a bad grade, your GPA is not the greatest. So now you're always working from a position of inferiority, right? So you want to be proactive. So if you realize that, man, I'm really struggling struggling with math, get help immediately. So a lot of parents are here. So like I would prompt your kids, right? Figure out like what grades are they getting? What grades are they getting? And how are they doing? And if there's any sign of them not doing well as they should be doing, then get help immediately. That's number one, because the next question after that is, what is the best strategy, right? What is the best way to study? Some students, they're just naturally smart. I've got little smarts, but I've got a lot of hard work and, other people helping me, guiding me through the process, right? So some students are naturally smart, but that smartness, if it's not combined with study skills and systems in order to know how to study, right? How to understand material, how to critically apply that material. You don't want to just be regurgitating. That's one level, being able to memorize. That's great. But, we've got Google, we've got Chat GPT, right? I can look up anything, within a couple seconds and it'll give me a full summary. So the question is, how do you take a body of information, digest it, learn to critically apply it, because that's what the exams are going to be like. And then how do you retain that information over the long term? You can imagine you don't learn that overnight, and you need someone to guide you. So I would say, one, it's get help early, and then ask yourself, what is the best strategy? What are the best study strategies?
I knew you were probably the best one to answer this question, because those who don't know, not only does he help students get into med school, one of the big tests, I think we're jumping a little ahead, but a little teaser, right? One of the tests that like students take to become a doctor is the MCAT. So think of it as the SAT or the ACT of med school. So yeah, I knew you were probably one of the best. Super amazing answer. I love that. I think one of the parents here, I think Racha, had a similar question to me, is that on top of just the academics, right? You probably did a bunch of stuff too. It wasn't just pure grades that got into everything. You did a bunch of stuff. You talked about soccer as well too. Their question is, how does soccer benefit? And for me, my kind of extension of that is, what else were you involved in high school? And did you pick things because this will help me get to be a doctor? Or how did you pick the activities that you picked?
So I think it kind of ties back down to mentorship, like what happened for me, because my cousin was literally ahead of me, right? He went to MIT. Okay, so Tony, I'm not the smart one, right? He's the genius, right? He went to MIT, so he was ahead of me. So before my freshman year, he sat with me and was like, "Listen, Mohamed, this is how you're gonna approach your classes, right?" Of course, he talked to me, figured out what I like, but he was like, "This is your schedule structure. This is when you're gonna be taking the SAT. These are the clubs that you should join. Pick clubs that you enjoy and become a leader in that club," right? So I was involved in so many. I was involved in like Mu Alpha Theta, which was I'm surprised I even remember that still, a math club, right? I was involved in what other things? Some other leadership club. I was involved in like volunteer work at the hospital. Those were some things that I was involved with. Soccer, big part of my development, a big part of my outlet to de-stress. I was involved in travel soccer from when I was like 8 years old. So they were another family to me. I learned so much from the team dynamic, stayed fit, right? Staying physically fit and eating healthy is important for your overall academic performance. So soccer played a tremendous support in terms of structure, in terms of exercise and nutrition, and also just when you're doing something and you're so tired, right? It kind of keeps you away from all the other things you should not be doing in high school, right? So keeping busy is important.
So let's skip forward a little bit to in terms of your full rides. I did not know. So you actually had a lot of opportunities, I think financial opportunities as well too with college. So a lot of families were thinking about that. What advice would you have, having firsthand knowledge of like getting these types of opportunities? Like what should parents kind of guide their students to be ready for these opportunities when they arise?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone, at least me, I don't go into the process thinking, my goal is to get a full ride. I think rather switch the paradigm and just ask yourself, how can I be my best self? Realize where you're at right now, whether you're in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, whatever, senior, and ask yourself, like, how can I be my best self? And that requires a conversation, exploration, because how do you learn about yourself when you don't have experiences? Get off of this, because when you're in this, you're in your own world. But when you're out there talking, joining clubs, talking to others, debate, right? Being on the debate team, right? Then you can imagine how your world grows. So I think the thinking, how can I be my best self, and making sure you have the right strategy in order to position yourself to have the credentials. That's the reality situation. It's a competitive atmosphere. So focusing on what do you want, what do you enjoy, and then having the right strategy. And then like this scholarship thing, if you position yourself well and you apply broadly, then you get opportunities.
Let's talk a little about the med school process itself. So I think we think we know, right? A lot of parents, a lot of families think they know. We watch like Grey's Anatomy and Scrubs, and we kind of have an idea of what we think happened. You became a doctor, right? You've been specialized in the ER side as well too. Can you just give us a brief overview? Okay, right now we have high school students, 9th to 12th grade. Does their undergrad matter? High school seniors, how's that journey kind of work from high school senior to being an actual doctor at the end of the day?
Absolutely, it matters where you go to undergrad. I went to Johns Hopkins University and I had a scholarship there and I had research opportunities there. Can you imagine the caliber of the student that I'm surrounding myself with? Am I saying that it's absolutely necessary for you to go to one of those high caliber schools in order to get into medical school? No, of course not. Does it help? Of course it does. The people you surround yourself with, the opportunities it opens, the more resources there. So once you graduate high school, typically then you go to undergrad. And what you have to be really thinking about in undergrad is, first of all, grades and MCAT score. Those are the top two things that you have to make sure are on point. Similarly, in high school, I can imagine Coach Tony would be the best person, and I don't know if this changed since the last time I was there, but grades, SAT score. That's what makes you open up the book. It's not everything, but you got to hit a certain benchmark in order for your book to be open so they can read the wonderful things that you've done, which also need to be there too. So similarly, in pre-med, you've got your grades and your MCAT, which you absolutely have to have a structure and strategy for how to schedule everything, plus how to study effectively so you do well in the class, and have the foresight to know that the MCAT is coming up. So how am I going to approach that? And then you got to get involved in clubs, leadership activities, extracurricular activities, research, shadowing, but not from the perspective of, hey, I need to cross off this list, right? I'm just going to cross off this list. I take everything. No. Remember, guys, from the perspective of, I want to try to be my best self. Right? What kind of doctor do I want to be? Why do I want to become a doctor? What classes do I need to take? What kind of experiences do I need to have in order to figure out that answer? The more experiences you have, the more you learn about yourself. The more you learn about yourself, the more your vision gets clarified. The more your vision gets clarified, the better you do, the more excited you get when you get up in the morning, the more confidence you have. Confidence comes from competence. I tell this to my students all the time. If you don't know what you're doing, how do you feel confident? I mean, I wouldn't feel confident myself. So confidence comes from competence, making sure you know where you are and where you want to go and what is the roadmap you need in order to get there. So say you did all that, you optimized all that, your grades, your MCAT score, you've had a holistic application. You then apply to medical school. Once you get into medical school, it's 4 years of medical school. Medical school is really when you try to figure out what you want to do next. What do you want to specialize in? So the first 2 years of medical school is just mainly book work. And then the next 2 years, the final 2 years, you're out in the ward, right? You're in the internal medicine floor, surgery, and you're seeing what each field is like. You decide on a field, you go through another process of applying to residency. And residency, depending on what you go into, I was emergency medicine, so I went to a 3-year program. It can be as much as 7 years, right? If you want to go into some specialized surgical specialty, and even more if you want to like further specialize with fellowships. So that's kind of like the whole process, but it all starts with, what do you want? What kind of experiences do you want to have in order to kind of really give you insight onto what you need to do where you're at?
It was so well articulated. There's a reason why you go help students through this process. I have like 2 more questions, and then I would love to open it up. And again, we have that really cool announcement at the very end too. So for me, I think that's like the one, like the traditional path. Can you talk about, is that like the only path to be a doctor? Like, let's say, for example, someone goes to college not wanting to be a doctor or thinking they didn't want to be a doctor, then later on they do. Or let's say halfway through college, you're like, oh, you know what? Now I want to do it. Or some of the other like more non-traditional ways, community college students who say, hey, I want to do it now. Is it too late for all those students? Like, do you need to know, like, hey, I'm going to be a med student, like doctor from high school? Or kind of, can you talk a little bit about that, those other journeys?
That's the beauty of it all, Coach Tony. Like, everyone has a different path. There's no one singular path, one cookie cutter path. To give you an example, there are those traditional students that apply directly, right? I was a non-traditional student because I took 2 years off to go do my experience in Jordan with the orphanage, right? So I took 2 years off to have that experience. But I'm telling you, man, there are people who midway, they decide that they want to go into medicine. So what do? They put forth the best plan in order to achieve that, even if it means they got to have an extra year in college. There are those individuals who get to the end of their college career and then they realize that, oh man, I'd like majored in something totally different, but I'm really passionate about medicine. They have other options, post-bac programs, right, is what they call them. And then there are individuals who, they slacked off, they didn't have the best strategy, so they don't have the best grades. So they kind of forced themselves to go down another route. But there are people, they're committed, right? They're committed. They realize, hey, I made mistakes in the past, but I'm going to keep moving forward. And then I actually have people in my program. I don't know if you're all going to believe this, but 52 years old, she's been a nurse for the past like 20 years or so. And suddenly she's like, man, I want more, right? I want more than just being a nurse. I love medicine. I want to become a doctor. She's studying for the MCAT right now. 2 people actually like that. I have another one who's in her 40s who went into business, marketing. She was like an EMT. And she's like, man, this is a dream I've always had. I've been thinking about it for the last 10 years and I can't shake that off. So she's in the program now, right? She's taking that next step in order to tackle this big, scary MCAT that's preventing her from following her dreams. So everyone has a different path. It's never too late to follow your dreams. And that includes in medicine.
Awesome. Fantastic. I have one more question for you, then we'll open it up to the folks who are here. Super curious. So a lot of our families, they like to do things fast. That's what I've learned, right? People like that fastness. So people are asking like BSMD programs, BSN programs, these very accelerated programs. I know you work with those folks. You've been worked with those folks. You've kind of studied along those folks. What are your honest thoughts about those types of accelerated programs? What's your thought process on all that?
I mean, it's very individualized. That's what you need, right? You need individualized advice. I can't sit here and just give a blanket statement to everyone, right? Because I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what your current academics are. I don't know where you want to be. I don't know what your overall dream is. I don't know what your restrictions are, right? There are a lot of factors, right? It's not so black and white. I would say, like, if it makes sense for you, for your particular situation, and you want to do medicine and you have an opportunity to accelerate that path, then why not? If that's in line with what you want, then go for it. But if you're not so sure and you're like, no, I want to do undergrad the traditional way and go down that route, then that's fine too. And sometimes maybe you can enter an accelerated program and there's an option for you to opt out, which I can't imagine that they keep you in jail saying, no, you're in the program, you must be a doctor, right? I'm sure there must be an option where you get out. So I think it just really depends, Coach.
Fantastic. So you currently have a Facebook group. Can you talk a little about your Facebook group? Because again, a lot of these parents kind of came from our Facebook group. I know we have a lot of pre-med related families here too. So can you talk about like your group, if they join, what to expect?
So my group is called Dr. Accelerator, Study Strategies and Systems for Pre-Med Students. Okay, so the person who would join this group are parents or students who are freshman year of undergrad or the summer before freshman year of undergrad. This is the time to join this group. For that, it's just a little bit too early. It's just not the ideal time. So to expect from the group is basically kind of like what I'm talking about right now, right? How can we, one, clarify your vision? Where do you want to go? That's the first pillar. And second pillar is how do we get there? So what's your roadmap for success? And then the third pillar would be effective study strategies and systems. So that way you can learn how to learn. And then pillar 4 is making sure you're going through the process physically, spiritually, mentally healthy. What's the point of going through all this if we're miserable, right? So that's essentially what the group is. And it helps people go through that process and also helps them with the MCAT primarily.
Fantastic. I also dropped in our notes if you guys want to have that. Before we jump into Q&A, something you mentioned really awesome throughout this call as well, like 2 things that stuck out to me. One is mentorship, having the idea of having a mentor. I think that's something you and I connected real fast. We both have a lot of mentors who helped us out in our life, and we still currently do. It's not like, hey, you got there, I'm done. We kind of practice what we preach to our students. Like we have students that we mentor, and we also have mentors who help mentor us. And the second piece that you mentioned is that there's no one size fits all. Right. I think like we kind of tried our best to do, here's what information for everyone. But again, especially when it comes to the pre-med route, when it comes to college admissions, it's so nuanced. Like everything's so nuanced based on the students. That's why no matter how much you Google, how much you YouTube, how much you have all this, the information side, adding like your expertise on the med school process, our team's expertise in the high school to college admissions process as well too. That's a little unfair advantage that our families have over everyone else. So a really cool announcement that I want to share with you guys, it's official. So one really cool thing. Again, Dr. Mohamed is a really good friend of mine. So you can see also he's very knowledgeable in the pre-med space. So because of that, officially, we are inviting him to be one of our expert head coaches inside of our current coaching program, which means if you're one of our coaching families in our Advantage program, Blueprint, or Concierge coaching programs, you actually get direct access to Dr. Mohamed. So he can give you not only just a generalized college admissions advice, but just a little extra little thing. Hey, if you think about med school, think about maybe taking this class, think about doing this activity. Again, being like you're like the figure like your older brother was for you, kind of imparting that knowledge on our high school students. Again, our goal is to give our students the unfair advantage in the college admissions process. So Dr. Mohammed is like amazing. I think our students especially our pre-med students will be like on cloud 9 moving forward. Any little things you want to share about that?
I'm super excited. I mean, just thinking back, I know there are a lot of parents on this line. Like, just try to remember back in your teenage years. I was constantly reminded by my parents, constantly reminded by my cousin who was ahead of me. We forget. You're a student, you're a teenager, you got so much to deal with. So for the parents there, like, you need to find what my cousin was for me, which basically just laid out exactly what I had to do, right? And I was the type of student where I was like, this is what I got to do. Yes, sir. I'm going to do it. I'm getting ready to execute this. But there are times where I did fall off the track. But my cousin, I know he would call me, right? He would call me periodically. Hey, Mohammed, how's it going? Like, what's going on? Right? So there's that accountability aspect of all this too. So one is knowing what to do and that accountability. And I see all the great things that Coach Tony does. And, we just got to call it real, right? He's doing great things. So if you need that, this is something that like it's worth every investment. Okay. Because my parents, like, they invested their time and they invested their money. Like, anytime I needed a tutor, anytime I needed resources, they were there. And there's no way, without a doubt, I would have been successful without that support. Okay. So I just want to urge everyone that you need a plan, right? And inaction is an action, and you're not going to like the result. Your kids are not going to like the result. So please, I urge you all to take that next step and secure your kids' future. And I'm excited to meet everyone and be part of this family.
So first question I see here is, my daughter's going to be a senior soon. What can we do now before applying for pre-med program?
Optimize her senior application, right? At this point, it seems like her grades are pretty locked in. Maybe she has to take the SAT or ACT or whatever it may be. Optimize what you can optimize. And the next step is to craft her story. How are you going to present her to college admission? There's a good way to present, and there's a great, amazing way to present. So you can potentially get points in that domain if you're able to package your story, because you may have a great story, but if you don't know how to tell the story, not a lot of people are going to hear it.
My little tip to add on to it, a senior schedule still matters. So don't slack off. Next one, does job shadowing outside the country help?
First question I would ask you is, why are you job shadowing outside the country? And really, your answer to that would give you insight on whether or not you should do it. Just job shadowing outside the country just for the sake of job shadowing outside the country to say you did it doesn't sound like a great reason, right? But job shadowing outside the country because you're very interested in this particular field, and the only person that's able to give you that information is this particular person, and then you went there and you learned about this particular trade and you had these experiences and this is why you learned it. That's powerful. Now you're crafting your story. It just kind of depends. Why are you doing it?
I love it. So we didn't prepare much, right? This is pretty like real as real can be. I just told him, hey, when you're free, let's jump on. He's like, can you send me? Like, let's keep it super real. So we just did it. And like for our coaching families, like Dr. Mohammed, literally exactly what we will say. Like, don't do things for the sake of doing things. Do stuff because of why. That's why I know you could be an amazing fit in our team as well too.
It's real, man. That's what works, right? I mean, that's what works for me. That's what works for you. That's what works for 100. Like, there's a proven formula, right? Why are you don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's a waste of time. First of all, you're not in a position to reinvent the wheel, right? If anyone's in the position to reinvent the wheel in high school, it's Coach Tony. He can at this point reinvent the wheel, right? Because he understands all the dynamics, but you're coming into this fresh. So why not just follow a proven framework that has worked for thousands of people over, I don't know how many years, right? That's just a smart thing to do. That's what I did. That's how I got to where I'm at. And then I'm a doctor now, and I'm slowly getting to the point where I can have that honor of trying to kind of like reinvent things and take them differently, right? But that takes time, effort in order to even get to that position. So just follow the formula.
So how do you compare rigor of subject versus grades? How would you recommend a student takes AP with mediocre grades or regular honors with high grades? Advice there, take AP classes with high grades. Don't put the or in between. It's and. APs and high grades is the answer that people don't want to hear, but that's the real answer. Question for you: what is the highest level of math recommended in high school? I'm gonna kind of append their question to be like for med school related stuff.
A good thing to think about, right, is like when you enter pre-med, you can get credit, right? And that very much accelerates your pre-med requirements. And in pre-med, you do have 2 math requirements. So I got credit. I remember, I think I got calculus A, B, and BC credit. I think AP statistics also falls in there. AP, obviously, if you go higher, if there is anything higher than that offered, then, and you get a 5 or 4, I believe. It depends on the school. But taking those higher level courses with college credit is great because I got there and I was like, I don't have to take math. Yes. I don't have to take any math, right? I don't want to take math. I'd rather take communications, right? I'd rather take, intro to business, right? Those language, right? I took Spanish, French, and Arabic. But that's because I came into undergrad with AP credit, which opened up my schedule, which lightened it up a little bit.
Another one, any absolute best practices for studying, note taking, or memorizing?
I think it falls under 3 kind of categories, right? And you gotta, it's too short of a call to really dive into the specifics of each one, but there are really 3 broad categories that you got to answer for yourself. How do you understand material, right? So write that down on your paper, understand material. Okay. And then now you got to go scour the internet and look at all the strategies, understand the material. How do you critically think? How do you apply that material? And then thirdly, how do you retain the information? So those are the 3 broad categories I'll leave with you. And then you gotta like go do the homework in terms of what the best strategies are.
Any thoughts about the pathways to physical therapy?
My sister's a physical therapist. She would be a good person to talk to. I can't fully answer that besides just being a good student and having the grades and all that. So I don't know specifics, but it doesn't hurt to have a good GPA and get into a good school. And my sister would be best for that, but unfortunately she's not here.
2 more quick questions. What medical passion projects can I start as a junior, and how can you recommend doing it?
What are you passionate about? Internet's your friend. Do your preliminary research and then go look for a mentor. But listen to me, guys. It's much more powerful if you do your research, have at least an outline of like, this is what I want to do. This is how I think I want to do it. And then make an appointment with someone who will then give you your time. I don't mind giving my time, right? But if you come to that meeting and you're just like, want me to come up with the idea for you? Come on, guys. I'm too busy for that. Okay. And plus, it's not in line with what you're passionate about. But instead, if you take the initiative and you're like, this is what I know. This is the research I've done. This is what I think is the best idea. Now, who's the best person to talk to? Go talk to them, share what you've learned. They give you some insight. You take it, you refine, you go talk to more people until slowly but surely your project will come into fruition. So you got to take initiative. It's not going to fall into your lap. You got to take initiative 100%. And people respect you and they're more willing to help you if you do come off like that.
When we connected, I was like, dude, you are a doctor yourself. So he's like, he's not just like a person who's like teaches people stuff. He's actually a practicing doctor currently. On top of that, he helps students with med school process, which is insane. And we're adding you on our team. So definitely, he's very busy. Again, so with our students, by the way, it's an absolute pleasure to have him on our team. At the same time, I'm going to give you guys a heads up. Please respect his time. So definitely, he's a great wealth of knowledge. But again, we want to teach you guys how to think, how to critically think, and how to accelerate as well too. And you have someone who's been there, done that, and has done that multiple times, right? Most doctors have done it for themselves one time. He's helped multiple people do it many times throughout the whole thing. A last quick question, like a follow-up from the interning different country question: is job shadowing a doctor when vacationing in their native country, since their relatives back in the native are mostly doctors?
I would ask what's the time frame, right? And are you there to vacation? If you're there to vacation, have a good time, de-stress, right? Or are you there to do the shadowing experience, right? If you're only there for a week, then I would say, I think you deserve a vacation for all your hard work. If you're there for 2 months, 3 months, then yeah, of course. Why not? It doesn't hurt, right? If you're interested in it, then go out, go shadow your family members, learn a little bit more. It doesn't hurt. But a lot of times it's about balance too. A lot of times, you're at work, you're thinking about vacation. When you're at vacation, you're thinking about work. You got to just kind of make a line, right? When I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. When I'm at work, I'm at work. Sometimes you could mix the two.
Really cool thing. The last few questions, by the way, we asked are actually our coaching students. So again, Dr. Mohamed gave you some homework to do on. So next time he joins our private call in our coaching, you guys can follow up with him directly and he'll kind of poke. Again, it's hard because it's a group call, right? But again, you guys will get direct access to him inside our program very soon. So once that happens, you can go bounce ideas back and forth and he'll give you direct guidance. With that said, anything else you want to share, sir, before we kind of wrap up this call?
Man, no, I'm super excited, Coach Tony. I mean, I love this. I love what I do because we're in it to create success stories. And the more success stories we can create, the more our circle grows of passionate people. And when you got a bunch of passionate people in a room, magical things happen, great things happen that impact the whole world. So I appreciate being here. I appreciate the opportunity to join your team, and I look forward to meeting all the students and seeing all the great things they accomplish.
Thank you everyone for joining again. I dropped the notes. If you guys want to tap that link in the chat real fast, because once I close the Zoom, it goes away. In there is Dr. Mohammed's Facebook group. If you want to join that, again, like you mentioned, if you're not in the process yet, more like a little too early. But if you have like an older child, a lot of our families have like multiple kids. So if you have an older child who's actually in college doing this work, definitely something to join and get started. And if you guys want to book a chat with our team to see, all the links are in there. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. I'll see you very soon. And for everyone, have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'll see everyone back next Tuesday at our regular time at 6 p.m. Pacific. Chat soon. Have a great week, guys.